In this video, we're going to walk you through each of the steps necessary to use your Canon 5D Mark II to shoot video. Part 1, Menu Controls. To navigate the menus, start by pressing the Menu button. To move between tabs, rotate the main dial on the top of the camera, which is next to the shutter button. To move up or down the list of menu items, use the quick control dial on the back of the camera. Select a menu item by pressing the Set button, which is in the middle of the quick control dial. Press the Set button again to modify settings. Go back or cancel by pressing the Menu button to move up one level. Part 2. Set up live view and movie recording size. When you first unbox your 5D, you will need to set up Live View Movie function in order to shoot video. Navigate to the second wrench icon, then scroll down to Live View Movie function and hit Set. Press the Setting button and turn on Stills plus Movie in the Live View functions. Next, press the Setting button again to activate Movie Display. When you are done, you'll see the icons for Stills, Video, and Movie Display indicated on screen. From the same menu, move down and set the movie record size. There are three choices: 1920 by 1080 at 30 frames a second, 1920 by 1080 at 24 frames a second, and 640 by 480 at 30 frames a second. To achieve a film-like look with your 5D, many people suggest using the 1920 by 1080 at 24 frames a second. Select that and press the Set button. Part 3, White Balance Controls. It's important to adjust the white balance manually when shooting video so that it doesn't change while you're in the middle of a scene. To set the white balance, navigate the menus to White Balance and press the Set button. Choose a specific white balance setting with the quick dial. We suggest that you use the manual setting at the very end of the menu. Once you're in the manual setting, use the main dial on top of the camera to select a specific value. There's a trick that allows you to view your white balance while you preview a scene in the LCD monitor. First, press the Live View button, which is next to the viewfinder, then press the White Balance button near the Shutter button. You will then see the white balance settings while you are previewing your scene. Again, you use the quick control dial to select different white balance settings. Notice that even with a plain red background in the LCD screen, you can see the color change as we adjust the settings. To adjust the color temperature in the manual setting, use the main dial on top of the camera. Part 4, Picture Styles. When shooting video, it's important to set your picture style because it determines how your video will look. There are a lot of opinions about which picture style is best, and you can experiment for yourself. But to get started, the setting which changes the image the least and gives you a linear neutral file, I suggest you choose the faithful setting. It will always give you a usable result which can be adjusted later if you choose. Part 5, Auto Power Off. When shooting video, you don't want your camera to turn off when you're framing a shot or setting lights. You'll want to set the auto power off to a longer setting than the camera ships with. Some people suggest setting this to off, but we find that a setting of 30 minutes works well for most people. After 30 minutes, the camera will turn itself off. Part 6, LCD Brightness. If your LCD brightness is set to auto, then the LCD will change brightness depending on the viewing environment. To ensure consistency when judging your exposure with video, it's important that the screen does not automatically adjust. Choose the LCD brightness menu item and press the Set button to switch the setting to manual. Use the main dial on top of the camera to switch the setting, and then the quick control dial to adjust the overall brightness. I suggest that you leave it set in the middle of the brightness range and that you use a viewing hood or some other method to control the ambient light while you make exposure decisions. Part 7, Formatting Memory Cards. When shooting video, it's very important to begin each session with a freshly formatted memory card. This helps with recording and when transferring your video into an editing program when you're finished. Navigate to the Format menu, then press the Set button. Use the quick control dial to choose OK and press the Set button to begin the format. You should do this to all your memory cards before starting any shoot. Part 8. The Star Menu. The Star Menu section provides a convenient way to store video-related functions for quick access when shooting. Navigate to the star icon, choose the My Menu settings by pressing the Set button. You can put all your video settings into this menu by selecting Register, then scrolling down the list looking for the setting you want to access quickly. I suggest you start with white balance. Click OK to register it. Next, look for picture style and repeat the process. Continue with Format and Live View Movie function and any other function you want to access quickly. Part 9. Setting ISO. To adjust the ISO of the camera, you will use the main dial while pressing the ISO button on the top of the camera. When shooting video on the 5D, you'll get the best results if you adjust the ISO to one of the following settings: 160, 320, 640, or 1250. Part 10. Setting shutter and aperture. To adjust the shutter speed, use the main dial on top of the camera. When shooting video, shutter speed is not used to control exposure. It's almost always set to twice the frame rate. So if you're shooting at 24 frames a second, your shutter speed should be 1/48th of a second, or the closest setting, which is 1/50th. If you're shooting at 30 frames a second, you'll be shooting your video at 1/60th of a second. To change the aperture, use the quick control dial. You can set the aperture to any value, but wide apertures are valued for their narrow depth of field. Use neutral density filters to create this look. Part 11. Checking focus. There's a handy feature that allows you to do accurate adjustments to your focus while in live view. You can magnify the image on the LCD monitor by clicking on the magnifying glass button. 1 press for 5 times magnification and 2 presses for 10 times magnification. This will allow you to precisely adjust the focus of your scene. Part 12. Recording video. To record a video, you do not use the shutter button. Instead, you turn on Live View by pressing the button next to the viewfinder. Then, to begin recording, press the Set button. The red light in the LCD monitor and the flashing red light indicate that you're recording. To stop recording, press the Set button again. If you're in the LA area, join me for Intro to DSLR video course at Samy's EDU.